Hi and good evening, and welcome to Tottenham Tantrum Gold, your home of your classic games, classic debates, and anything to do with Spurs over its glorious history. Tonight, we're doing a special Bill Nicholson tribute show to our greatest ever manager. And joining us tonight, well, this man needs no introduction. He is our record appearance holder. He's my skipper of my generation, who always will be skipper to me. He was the most successful Tottenham captain. He is one hell of a lovely man and a gentleman. It's my pleasure and TTG's pleasure to present Mr. Steve Perryman. Good evening, Steve. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite again.
Yes, lovely to have you back on. It really is.
Pleasure. Well, you're talking about the great man, so it would be very amiss of me not to throw my pennyworth in.
Yeah,
about him.
I mean, he's such a huge figure over the club, isn't he, Steve? He really is. He is Mr. Tottenham, isn't he?
Sure. So I'm from West London.
Mm-hmm.
I followed Brentford and QPR. Was aware of the Tottenham double team and their exploits and the first team to win the European trophy and all of that stuff. And it coincided with me coming to prominence that they won the cup in '67, and I signed for them after that victory. The reason I signed for Spurs instead of anyone else, and there was about 30 odd clubs involved for me, because I didn't sign a schoolboy form with the advice of my elder brother. But Tottenham were the first to knock on the door, and I opted to sign for that club. But the reason was, of course, their history, but the manner and the integrity of Bill Nicholson. Very, very, very special guy. Didn't make outlandish promises, told you how hard it was going to be. And his first instruction to me as I walked through the door on the first morning was, Steve, if you play quick, easy and accurate, you'll have a career. And hopefully that's what I did. I don't think that advice would go amiss these days.
Yeah.
So he was definitely ahead of his time. He, I think if you mention the word game management to him, he would sort of question you, well, what does that mean? In all the years I played for him and knew him, he never once told anyone to run the ball to the corner flag. He never once said waste time. He never once said kick that player, that opponent, to put him out the game. He was full of integrity. Of course, he wanted to win, but he wanted to win in the right manner. And that is what I'm proud and privileged to have worked under and learned under. And, whether I did it or not, I tried to carry that on into my game after Bill Nick had left. And, the club just can't forget such a character. They've got to follow his beliefs. And, you can have all that you want about playing between the lines and 3-5-2 or 5-3-2 or whatever you want. As Bill Nick used to say, Steve, it's 11 against 11.
Yeah.
You outrun or outplay or both your opponent. And if we got enough in the team that do that against their opponent, we should win. So very simple instructions. He had a framework of how to play, of how they taught you to play. And I was lucky enough to come in at 15, whereas other players come in maybe when they were 25 in their career, and they only had Bill Nick for, say, 3 or 4 years. I had his messages for a longer time, and not always directly from Bill, but from Bill's staff. And I think that they were handpicked. He didn't leave anything to chance. And as I say, he gave me an integrity of how to play, how to act, how to be with supporters, how to be with, the sponsors were not so big in our day. The adverts around the ground weren't such. No adverts in the program, was there? But just how to conduct yourself, be it on the field or off the field, and but it was all simple. It was very simple instructions, and just he was a very impressive character in terms of following his words. And I met his daughter one day. I met her, of course, in my younger days, but I met her now, probably 5 years ago. And we both agreed that he was the type of man who you did not want to let down. Be it as his daughter or be it as me as a young player, you did not want to let him down. You wanted to try and please Bill Nicholson. And but it was tough love. There was very, very few well dones. I haven't discussed that with his daughter, but there were very few well dones as far as I was concerned, or the young players at the time. We were expected to love the club as much as he did. We were expected to leave it all out on the field at whatever level we were playing at, whether you're in the juniors, the under-17s, or whether you're in the first team playing in a cup final. He wanted you to give your all for his beloved Tottenham Hotspur. And I always remember Ralph Coates. He left us to sort of our own devices on the last game of the season to play against up at Stoke. And Bill Nick went to sign Ralph Coates. And I think he met him on the motorway and signed him in the car. And he said to Ralph, "So, how does it feel, Ralph, to be a Tottenham Hotspur player?" Yeah, Bill. Yeah, great. No. How does it feel? What's happening in here? Ralph said, whatever he answered, he could not have answered strongly enough to Bill Nick think that he was now in love with the club. I mean, how's that possible? He just signed. He signed 2 minutes ago. But it's the start of making you follow him. And again, no promises that he couldn't carry out. He treated everyone with respect. For instance, and this doesn't sound respectful, but I know how Bill's mind worked. We had 5 teams competed on a Saturday when I was there. Under 17s, juniors, under 18s, youth team, A team in the Metropolitan League, football combination reserve team, and the first team. 5 sets of kit to be packed, sets of boots, coaches to be booked to take us wherever, or some were playing at home, obviously. And therefore, on a Monday morning, you reported, and the doctor came in Monday morning and Friday morning. He wasn't full-time, the doctor. He was a full-time doctor, but not for us. And so there would be 4 beds full of players, and then maybe 4 or 5 extras standing up, waiting to eventually get on the bed and be treated. And Bill Nick would walk in immaculate, creases down his trousers, his hairline, his parting, absolutely immaculate. Shoes polished. And there's 4 beds, remember. And he'd walk in and he'd stop and he'd just look to the next bed, to the next bed, to the next bed. Sigh and walk out. What he's actually saying is there that, without saying it, I've got to go and deal with the players that are going to get me the next result. And it's probably none of you because you're injured. You know, the modern day would say, how are you? How's that ankle? Is it coming down any? Is it getting any easier? Etc., etc., etc. That cut over your eye, the stitches look like they're mending. They'll be all right in a couple of days, etc. No, you were injured. You were no good to him. So do you know what? I think players got fitter quicker on the strength of not having that extra care. It was tough love. It was tough love. And when you think about the era that Eddie Bailey and Bill Nicholson came through, and therefore their staff, Jack Coxford, Johnny Wallace, Cecil Poynton, Sid Tickeridge in my younger days, Pat Wilton. When you think what they'd come through in their lives, be it the end of the war or during the war, and rationing and no central heating in the houses, etc., it was a get on with it society. And that's how you were treated as a player. Just get on with it. He gave you all the tools you needed. He gave you the great pitch at Cheshunt, and okay, the training pitches could get a bit wet during the winter, but he gave you all the tools you needed, and he gave you the information you needed. And then, you know what? It was down to you. And if he liked you, he kept picking you. If he didn't, you were moved on. And I'm proud to say that there's a cull at the end of every season. And I'm proud enough to say that I survived every cut or cull at the end of the season to carry on for another year. And one of Bill Nicholson's was, and he was not money motivated in any shape or form. He said to me one day, Steve, don't worry about money. Just keep doing it right. If you do it right, the money comes. And I think that's how he lived his life, really. If he worked hard enough and was successful enough and got enough good players around him, trying to do the same thing in terms of playing together, doesn't matter whether you use Jimmy Greaves or Pat Jennings, if you play together, 11 together equals 12, and 11 not together probably equal 10. So all of a sudden, it's 12 versus 10. You got every chance of winning. So proper man, proper ethics. Very proud to have been under his stewardship, and I like to talk on mediums such as yours to let people know and not forget the special character of this man. And the number of times he told us we didn't deserve to win that, particularly trophies. You didn't. Wolves were better than you. Yeah, no, we weren't good enough. And you know what he's doing? He keeps pushing the boundaries of you've got to be better, got to be better, got to be better. And even when his double team were called super or elite or some word, he said, don't call them that. Don't call them that. That sounds like they're finished. They're done. They're at the top of their tree. Finished top of the league, but there's still a bit to go. And I think that's a sign of a very, very good manager.
It is. I mean, Steve, that's just giving me goosebumps. Just listening to that, it really has. Just very quickly, I forgot to introduce my co-host, Ben.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, Steve. That we were all just transfixed by that. We really were. It was just, that's the way to open the show. I mean, Bill Nick means so much to me, as it does to Ben, and especially Arthur. He means so much to all of us as fans. And we would give our right leg to have your position to play under the great man. Yeah. Because he really is, for me, Mr. Tottenham. He built a house that made us proud to be Spurs fans.
Yeah. When you look at that stadium, for instance, I call that a working class palace. It wasn't luxurious. It wasn't, tiled of the highest quality. You weren't, in comfort, but you were there to work. And the crowd came in, and to be fair, I don't think they were charged top prices of the era, not for the program or the seat, but they were there to watch their players go to work. And that's what they expected, and that's what Bill Nicholson expected. And just a proper gentleman, that when you played well for Bill Nicholson, you felt better than playing well for anyone else.
Yeah.
Because you were repaying his faith in you. This great man, this great manager was paying you the compliment of picking you and giving you the chance to wear that famous white shirt. And there's a saying, those who drink the water, remember those that dug the well. So however much you've got a great stadium, great training ground, etc., etc., it's the people like Bill Nicholson and Arthur Rowe and the Eddie Baileys of the world, let's not forget them, the Johnny Wallaces, all those people I named before. I weren't aware of the staff before that, so I can't name them. But you know, that club has been built on very, very strong foundations when you're dealing with characters like that.
Yeah, it is. We've got a question for you here, Steve. It's from Bob Spur, who runs his own channel. But for the past few months, he hasn't been very well with COVID. He's been battling COVID, and he's on his way back. Bless him.
Good.
And you know, Bob Spur would love to know, how would Bill fare in today's game?
Very difficult question, that. Bill Nicholson would have struggled with agents.
Yeah.
Can you imagine someone telling Bill Nicholson how good their player is? No, I'll tell you how good he is. Or not. He might be able to do this, but he can't do that. So that element, Bill Nick would struggle with. But of course, we all have to adapt. I struggle with it. You know, when I had to start dealing with agents, and they're telling me they want, you know, you're signing a centre forward and they want a goal bonus. Well, you're going to give us some money back if you don't score. That's what it's signed for. So there's a sort of old-fashioned, I've picked that up from Bill Nick as such. There's an old-fashioned way of looking at all this. Don't get above yourself. Do not get above yourself. Just play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game. No need to do this or can you imagine him? Could you imagine him dealing with a player that's got £1 million worth of cars sat on their driveway? Wow. Could he have adapted to that? I don't think he'd have wanted to. I think he saw everyone at their level, and he just couldn't deal with people or players getting above themselves. So, I mean, he did everything. I learned more about how he liked me as a player from other people than I did from Bill.
Mm-hmm.
He would tell very openly other people that he liked my effort, he liked my willingness to run, my willingness to recover to goal, my willingness to put my foot into the tackle, etc. And now and again he scores a goal, but not very often. So he'd tell that to other people, he wouldn't tell it to me. He would tell you the faults. Mm. Steve, come on, you got to have more shots. Come on, Steve, you can tackle the ball to your teammate. So he's not just worried about you winning the ball in a tackle. He wants you to win the ball and force it to your teammate who's 3 or 4 yards away. When we talk a lot about anticipation, it was particularly a word that Bill wanted to use and believed in. And I've never heard anyone say the word the way that Bill Nick said it. Steve, anticipation, son. It was full of meaning. Steve, you got better anticipation. Bill Nick meant it when he said it. He meant the messages. He meant the halftime talk. He meant if we'd have gone a few games, you know, not winning, he meant the bit of a crisis situation. He meant it. And you know, as a player, when your manager talking means what he's saying. And you know when a manager's fluffy.
Yeah.
He's saying it, but he's not really convinced himself. And therefore, how can he convince you if he's not convinced himself?
Yeah, that's so true. Arthur, you've been a Spurs fan for God knows how long, and you saw Steve make his debut as a 17-year-old. For you as a fan, what was it like to watch Bill Nick's teams play when you stood on the East Stand or the old West Stand or the old East Stand or the Shelf? What was it like to watch the team of the early 60s and then the 70s?
It's a feeling that's very difficult to describe because we were honoured. There were these guys like Steve that came out on the pitch, rolled their sleeves up, they got stuck in. They did what I'm known for being straightforward and blunt myself. And that's exactly what I always felt about Tottenham. They were straightforward. They knew what they were doing. They had skill. They had guts. But they had a lot of power. They could defend. They could play. Steve was a midfielder and a great midfielder. When we first saw Steve, he came on to play. And we thought, oh, got Steve Perryman on today.
Who's this?
What's going on here? Who is this guy?
Who's this?
But I tell you what, he came in at 17. He held his spot and he never let it go. And he was one of our best captains ever. And every time we saw his name on there, we said, we've summed up the midfield. If anyone can win a ball, Steve can. And, okay, he had great players around him as well. But I think it's fair to say, even to Steve's face now, is that the older players, the senior players, the ones that everybody raves about because their skill and their scoring ability, they respected Steve. He gained their respect, as did the fans. And
Bill Nicholson,
fantastic. It's something you can't explain, to watch the sides that we watched.
Bill Nicholson, when he made me vice captain,
yeah,
I think Martin Peters was injured. I think it was against Lynn Oslo in the UEFA Cup. So he didn't want to go all through this decision every time. So he said, Steve, so not only are you captain tonight because Martin's injured, but that means you're vice captain. So whenever he's injured, you're going to be captain. He said, play the game tonight. Come and see me tomorrow. He gave me a sheet of paper with about 20 things to think about as a captain. I wish to Christ that I'd have kept that. I'm not saying I've forgotten it. I probably did most of them, but just to have that piece of paper. So if Bill Nicholson wrote out that piece of paper, that was considered. That was from his heart. That was from his head.
Yeah.
And that was from his soul. How you lead a team. You can't just put your captain toss the coin. No. It means more than that. And actually, you're captain of Tottenham Hotspur. That's an even bigger accolade.
Yeah.
So I played for England youth one day, and I think it was at Luton against their Southern Ireland, and telegram. Quite a few telegrams from different people, but this telegram said, wear the white shirt of England as proudly as you do the white shirt of Tottenham.
Yes.
So he could just pull out, he could sort of link the two together. In a way, he's saying, your club is as good as your country, actually, but I'll let him have you this tonight. But he put everything in perspective. He had total respect for the crowd. I think that's what the crowd knew about Bill Nicholson. He had total respect for the crowd. And one day he said to us, right, who's the most important people at this club? And no one answered because they thought it was a trick question. And he said, the supporters.
Yeah.
You'll go, I'll go. They don't change their club. They're the most important people at this club. Not you, not me. them, the supporters. So, he had I took on board that if you were picked to wear that white shirt, you were representing those people. Okay, I related more to the people on the terraces than the seats because they were closer. But you were carrying the baton for them. And I think my appeal to them was, for instance, as much as they adored Glenn Hoddle, rightly so, absolutely rightly so, what a talent, they couldn't see their self be able to do what Glenn did. You know, that 60-yard ball on a Tanner over the fella's head, make him jump, and then he realises he ain't got it, and that allows Tony Galvin to get away a bit further. But I think they could see themselves being me if they had the chance. Well, I'd run about. I'd put my foot in. I'd recover the goal if I lost the ball. And so Bill Nick treated you all the same. I was treated as well as Jimmy Greaves from day one. I've got to tell you that, from day one. And that weren't with presents. That was Bill Nick saying, Steve, you okay? Yes, Bill. Good. Keep going. And not a well done, but just a little lift when you need it, you know. And Eddie Bailey I always tell this story, right? I got it through the youth team into the A team. Of course, for certain games, you had to keep going backwards and play in the FA Youth Cup and all that. But I'd never played in the reserves yet. And I played this night game in the Metropolitan League at Cheshunt. And we walked off in the corner, and it would have been about sort of 6:30 at night, I suppose, the finish of the game. No floodlights there. And Eddie Bailey stood on the bank. And as we're walking off into the corner, he said, Perryman, come here. Walk over. He said, someone tells me that there's a list up in that dressing room of the possible players that may go on the end of season tour to America and Canada. And apparently, I don't believe it, but apparently your name is on that list. How did your name get on that list? I don't know, Bill. Eddie, I don't know. Did you write it on that list? No. Now, in the modern day talk, that would be, Steve, you've had a good season. The manager likes you. He wants to have a look at you in the first team situation, only on a tour, but there'll be situations come up in hotels and in the games. So he wants to judge you in a different situation than what you've been judged so far. But well done, you're looking like it. They just couldn't say it. They couldn't say, well done. They couldn't say it. It wasn't in their vocabulary to say it. And all of this was to sort of keep you down. Now, these days, when you talk about what Bill Nick had done, the agents are talking them up. The dads are talking them up. The television are talking them up. Ever before, they're right to be spoken up. Bill Nick couldn't have controlled that. He did in his day. He controlled it. Of course, he had the contract situation to control it as well. Freedom of contract meant the clubs were too strong. But now the players are too strong. So there must be a good in between somewhere. But Bill Nick, in terms of his football ability, would have been as good as anything you've seen today. Because he cared and he thought it through and he worked on it. Bill Nick's the only one ever in my life who taught me how to tackle. No one. They all talk about tackling. No one teaches it. Nobody teaches it. Trust me. Nobody talks about leadership. Well, they talk about it, but they cannot draw it up from within to pass on that knowledge to you. The whole world of football are lacking leaders. Why? Because no one can teach it. I could teach it because Bill Nick taught me. But for whatever reason, it's not needed or not asked for or not recognised. But that's another story. But anyway, so I worry about a goalkeeper being the captain. I don't quite see that. I worry about a centre forward being the captain. I don't quite see that. You've got to have someone in the middle, close to the action. Okay, he's got to be the right character. He's got to be team orientated and all of this. I'm going down a road that I shouldn't be going down. But anyway, Bill Nick led me to lead.
Yeah.
And that gave me a career. Bill Nicholson would be harsh on you if you got the ball in a tight area, you managed to work yourself out of it, and now there's a winger there. And because you've just done the difficult thing, some players go to the winger and they take their head off the ball as they give it. And it's about a yard too backward of the player instead of being 2 yards in front of him. Bill Nick could take your head off for that, just for that bit of difference of it being right or not. He wanted it right as many times as you could get it right. And do you know what? If you didn't do it right, you then had to show a good reaction to then make up for it. It's not a lot to ask for a manager, is it?
No, it really isn't, Steve. I mean, I write down a list of questions and you've just answered all of them. So I've got one question. You've got one question. I've got one here for you.
Know.
Huh?
I've done this before.
I think you have, Steve. I would love to know, how did Bill Nicholson, I have to call him Mr. Nicholson because that's who he was to all the fans. How did he tell you about your debut for the club when you were 17? Did he tell you, or was it, how did that day come about?
I travelled with the first team to Derby as 13th man. It was 11 plus 1 sub. That was the first time Spurs had played against Dave Mackay, having released him. Mm-hmm. Dave Mackay's Derby beat us 5-0.
Yeah, they did.
And that was the best 13th man I could have ever have chosen, because I'm witnessing Tottenham being taken apart. And I'm in the dressing room at the end when Bill Nicholson is telling the team that just got beat 5-0 what they did wrong. And that gave me my chance the next Saturday. And the team was full of good players, but did not have enough legs. So I was brought in as the legs. And I describe it as there was too many chiefs and not enough Indians. I was brought in as an Indian. And so he bought. I travelled with the reserves on either the Tuesday or Wednesday night midweek game at Reading, and I wasn't picked in the team. And do you know what? I was hurt. Anyway, the reason was because they were thinking of playing me on the Saturday, so they didn't want to play me and maybe I got injured or something. And on the Friday, he called me and Dennis Bond into the office and said, one of you will be playing tomorrow, but maybe both of you. So I went home thinking, well, Dennis is playing. Okay. So it was not to give me too much pressure, too much stress. But he knew, I've spoke to him since, he knew that I was going to be playing against Sunderland. And it was all very normal. It was, Steve, go and play. You've got your chance because you work hard, you run, you tackle, you can pass. You're not gonna dribble anyone. That's not your game. But if you just keep, I told you before, Steve, play quick, easy, and accurate. And that's what you've done so far, and that's what we need to keep doing. And just Bill Nicholson has picked you in the team. Wow. How about having that as a feather in your cap?
Yeah. I mean, we can only dream about that. The three of us can only dream about that.
Yeah.
How did you feel when Bill left? He left after I think it was a 4-0 defeat to Middlesbrough. I think he had a tough start to that season. And
Yeah.
what was Bill like? Did he become disillusioned with the game, or was it just did he just have enough when he left?
I personally thought it was getting too much for him.
Mm.
I think however bright your flame shines, there's a point where it's starting to flicker.
Mm.
And not that I was any great judge of that, because I've only ever played under one manager, and I wouldn't. But something said to me, Bill's struggling, and the meetings were getting longer and longer and longer, and he was trying to do everything to sort of turn it around. But I thought he was looking tired. I thought he was looking as disappointed as a perfectionist that he was when it's not going right. And so I personally thought it was the right time for him. I don't think anything suggests that actually it was the wrong time for him. Whether he should have stayed on at the club is another matter. You know, just because you're sort of coming off the peak of your career, this great man with great trophies, you know, of course there's going to be an up and there's going to be a bit of a down. You can't keep going up forever. So for Tottenham to have lost Bill Nick's way was ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Didn't he have a rough time? Wasn't he fighting with Martin Chivers, etc. for a while? A lot of politics.
Politics, sort of egos more than politics.
Yes.
Yeah. And players started to. Do you remember 66 World Cup? Then there's a 70 World Cup.
Yeah.
All of the 70s team got given a Ford motor car, white. You know, the age of players getting extra from outside started to happen. And if you started to concentrate too much on the outside, it meant you were detracting from what you was doing. So I think that was a big problem for Bill. And so he that's probably why he could not have coped these days.
Yeah.
On the pitch, on the training pitch, yes. The lot of nonsense that goes on beyond it, he would have struggled with. And I keep coming back to the same thing. Bill Nick was honest. And some of what happens surrounding the game these days is not honest. I'm very critical of pundits on television. I think some of those pundits, if they weren't being paid, would not even go to a game. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think they love the game. And they all link on to the same words like between the lines and game management and all this bullshit that would have drove Bill Nicholson mad, like it drives me mad. And so he was passionate about the game going forward, moving forward. I don't think he would have liked the goalkeeper keep passing the ball to the back players in the box and the square passes. I don't think he would have liked that too much. But get it forward, support it, and then we play from there. That's how we played. And you can't say that he wasn't an attacking manager. He was. He would take you on, no problem. And I never was asked that we're going to defend today, just defend and break. No, not a chance. He cared too much about the furtherment of the game. And as much as Premier League would tell you how much the gates have improved and all this nonsense, is the game any better? Don't think so.
It's still the same, isn't it? Still 11 against 11 and a white ball in the middle of the pitch.
11 v 11.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I mean, Keith Birkinshaw brilliantly brought Bill Nick back as a consultant.
Yep.
Then he found the players like Graham Roberts, great players of the 80s, of the late 70s, 80s. Do you think
probably scouts see these players?
Yeah.
And then Bill Nick gives the final yes on it.
Yeah.
So Graham Roberts, Tony Galvin, for instance, Ali Dick, Keith had a lot to do with that one. So when you think about the team that won the 84 UEFA Cup with a lot of so-called top players not playing, you know, it was a victory for homegrown talent, really. And I always regard Roberts and Galvin as homegrown. I do. I'm always telling them to, even today, that you knew fuck all when you come to us. So you've only learned it while you've been here. And they sometimes kick up against that. But anyway, so they know it's a sort of a joke. But I still regard them as homegrown players. So when you look at that team, you know, don't tell me Bill Nick's name was not written in there somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Be it with me, obviously, because he signed me. And I'm the captain, not on the day, but I was the captain of that team. But, you know, he took his wife to watch Tony Galvin, didn't he? On their anniversary in the pouring rain. And everyone thought the game was going to be off. And he kept going and kept going and kept going. And Tony Galvin said to me the other day, I think he only stayed for about an hour, but he said he saw enough. So he paid respect to his wife's anniversary that they could get home half hours earlier.
I think he was brave taking her to football in the first place.
Yeah, but then again, Bill Nick turned down Alan Hansen, for instance, up in Scotland.
Really?
But Alan Hansen played in midfield, and he said he's not our type of midfield player. And you know, I don't think he played too many times for Liverpool in midfield.
No,
of course he did at the back, but so yeah, you know, a successful team is not all about one man. Of course, the double team, we think of Bill Nicholson and the first European trophy, Bill Nicholson, but there's a lot of people behind it all. And Bill Nick was one of the people behind Keith and the 80s success. So you imagine you're Keith Birkinshaw and you got relegated and you kept the job, which is a miracle. And then, you know, you bring Bill Nick in, who you're going to travel away to Braga or somewhere. And Bill Nick would be looking over you saying, where are you going to train? What are you going to do with them 8 hours that the players are just kicking their heels? What? Bill Nick had a way of dealing with a team in all those moments. And I'm not saying Keith was a fool. He absolutely weren't. But as many good people around you as you can get helps you become a very good manager.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I think the 80s side was as much to do with Keith and Bill Nick as the 60s and 70s side, because I think Keith, it was genius bringing Bill Nick back because Bill Nick had all this experience that Keith could tap into.
Yeah.
A bit like Matt Busby up in Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson.
And very similar characters. Very similar characters. Both Yorkshiremen, both didn't throw money around.
No.
And they wanted, if they spent £1 note, they wanted 150 back for it. in effort. And create whatever they're judging you on. They say the money spent on Bill spent on Jimmy Greaves. He thought he was worth more than that. That's why he paid it. Pat Jennings, Cyril Knowles, Mike England was a top buy, wasn't he, of the day? Alan Gilzine. You know, you can't get these people in and then not be good at what you do because they'll laugh you out of court.
Yeah.
And the respect for Bill Nicholson was undoubted. And then I used to sometimes go into Bill Nick's office. Maybe he wanted to. I remember going in there one day. Steve, stand up, stand up. And he'd go to a cupboard and he'd get out these balls. You remember, like when there's snow, we'd play an orange ball. Well, to say the 3 orange balls would be kept in that cupboard. And over the course of time, while they're not being used, they'd go down. And I've been standing up, tackling Bill Nicholson with one of these orange balls on the carpet of his office floor. And the air's coming out of the ball. Where we're meeting it at the same time, you know. And it just oozed. Some people can learn from what they're doing. I say this to Mickey Hazard all the time. Mickey Hazard has now become very intelligent about football. When Mickey Hazard was a player, every game was new game. He carried nothing from the game before into the next game. I did that well. I didn't do that so well. I'll do more of that, less of that. It's obviously how you get to your pinnacle of your career. Mickey was so talented, he could play every game off the back of, it's another day. It's another game. Who are we playing today? Sometimes he wouldn't know who we were playing. Do you know what I mean? But Bill Nicholson was my type that he learned from everything he did. I'll do more of that, I'll do less of that. And therefore, when this type of man is teaching you about the game, he's telling you off of his own experiences. Sometimes you've got to let the players just do what they do, like Jimmy Greaves. Bill Nick would never tell Jimmy Greaves how to score a goal. Keith Birkinshaw would never tell Glenn how to hit a 60-yard ball over that fullback's head. Tempt him to jump, and the minute he jumps, thinks, no, I'm not getting it. So, but you still got to give the team the pattern of how to play together. 11 together equals 12. And it's not 11 Pat Jennings in the team. It's not 11 Jimmy Greaves. It's a bit of that, a bit of that. You got enough height. You got to have enough pace. You got enough cunning. You got enough that. We played Chelsea 4 games, showed none of that. None of it. If any of our players went near Rudiger, I'd have stand up and applauded them. No one wanted to get near him.
Yeah. Ben, you're very quiet. Do you want to go through some of these start questions we've started for Steve?
Yes.
And let you go through. If that's okay, Steve, if you
if
still
you don't
got
mind,
time.
can we leave it to 2 and then I've got to go?
Yeah.
If that's all right.
That's fine. And thank you again, Steve, for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask this question from our lovely friend Ellie. And she says, what do you think Mr. Nicholson would have thought of Mr. Conte in terms of the way he runs his ship?
Hi, Ellie. I personally don't know how he runs his ship. It's a modern day job being first team coach now, or whatever you call him. The influence of the chairman and stuff like that. Bill Nicholson was like Keith Birkinshaw. They run it from top to bottom. So if Conte is running it from top to bottom, he'd applaud it. If he thought that Conte was just a sort of puppet for someone else making all the major decisions, and yet he's having to sort of take the flack at the end of games in interviews, I don't think he'd be very impressed. So I think he'd like his passion. changing game, I know, different era, but I don't know that he would have appreciated the obvious showing the signs of passion. I had someone say to me one day, manager of Watford, we played Southend, and I got a letter on the Monday morning saying, well, it's obvious now, I can see that Barry Fry has got more passion than you. So I phoned this chap up, because he very kindly left his number, and said describe passion. He said, running up and down the touchline, shouting and screaming, and you don't do that. When I'm shouting and screaming, I can't think straight. And if you think there's a ball between me and Barry Fry, who do you think would win it? So there's different ways of showing your passion, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think he would pay respect to the man being successful and having done what he did. He would know that everyone's got a different style. Bill Nicholson would never be Brian Clough, and Brian Clough could never be Bill Nicholson. But they were both rated as successful managers. And there's different ways to do it. And I think he would worry about I think he'd worry about the two fullbacks or the two wing backs. But that's not about Conte. That's about modern players. So yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, one I've never considered. What would Bill Nick? Bill Nick would know that the manager of the club deserves the ultimate respect of the players to go and do what he thinks is best. And if it's best to sell Dele Alli or move him on, then the manager has to be listened to. If you don't listen to the manager, get rid of the manager. That's how I think Bill Nick would want things. And yeah, but good question, Ellie. Sorry, I've not got a great answer for you, but he'd like the training pitches. He'd like the match pitch. I don't think he'd have liked heated seats on the subs bench.
Not that Mr. Conte uses his seat.
No. But yeah, I think he would feel there's a bit too much pampering going on.
Yeah.
There are two questions that are very similar to each other, but I'm going to bring one from this distinguished gentleman below me's lovely daughter, who I met today for the first time. He says, are there any later day Spurs players you would love to have played alongside?
Harry Kane, and that's not disrespecting forwards that I played with.
Yeah.
But Harry is very, very special. And of course, latterly it's all been a bit stuttered and staggered because of events. But the quality that he puts the ball in the net with is something to behold. It's not a Jimmy Greaves. It's not a Gilly in the air. It's a bit of that, but also a bit of that and a large slice of that. But overall, it's a confidence that he can score. And scores different goals, but it's very different for me to see a centre forward keep coming back and then delivering.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's different. So, Gilly played on the top line. Chivers played on the top line. Greavesy was on the top line. But different eras. What about if teams had pushed up more? Well, if they'd have pushed up, Greavesy would have been in. Would have been slippery like an eel and got through and whatever. But Chiv in the 2 years where he was the best centre forward in Europe would have outrun the back line. Gilly, not so much. Gilly was a sort of a flicker on and finisher, one-touch finisher, if you see what I mean. He weren't going to beat 3 players and then finish it, Gilly. But yeah, Harry Kane. I like watching Son when he's on fire. The special goal that he scored against Burnley a year back. Very exceptional goal. And his decision to keep running at the middle of 2 players. Because when you do that, both the players think, is it me? Is it him? And by the time they've had that decision, he's gone through it. Now he looks for the next 2 players to go at the middle of. And he poses the same question to them. So, yeah. I can't put any goalkeeper in front of Pat and Clem. I can't put... it'd be easier to answer about the players before me than after me, if you know what I mean.
I know that's a brilliant answer, Steve.
Pleasure.
I think you've just made 2 lovely ladies of the Spurs community very, very happy people tonight, Steve. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to go now, but thank you.
I just one quick thing. Could you do for me, Steve? Yeah. Would you please wish Bob Spur a speedy recovery, because I know it would mean a lot to him if you would do that for us.
Bob, I have someone in my phone that I've called Bob Spur. It's obviously not you because of what you've gone through, and I would have known it if it had been my friend. So I feel like I'm talking to someone that I know, and I obviously don't. But get well soon. Do whatever they're telling you to do, doctors. But keep safe. Get fit for your loved ones, because as much as it hurts you, I'm sure, then it's hurting them as well to see you not at full capacity, full pace. So look after yourself and keep supporting them Spurs. Hopefully they're not making you feel any worse. I think what's his name? The chap who's just written the book with Jimmy Greaves, for Jimmy Greaves. Norman Giller. I read after one performance said, "Thank you for making an old man feel a bit older." I know that's a bit what's it, but anyway. So yeah, all I want to say to you people listening is thank you very much for your support for the mighty Spurs. Thank you for your loyalty, and it'll all be worthwhile. Trust me. I don't know whether it's going to be a year's time, whether Conte's going to get us to the cup final this year and win it, or somewhere down the line. But when it comes, it'll be so much sweeter, the fact what you've had to go through for the last few years. Yeah. Poch got us within a step of winning the European. Okay, I always call it the European Cup.
Champions League.
And then, yeah, Champions League. But it'll always be the European Cup for me. But yeah, I don't know if Poch is coming back one day or what, but yeah, it's a club that we all love and we want to progress and do better, and it can only do that if you stay loyal and keep going. As long as you don't think the club are taking the mick out of you with stuff, but if you do, then you'd have to do the other thing. But stay loyal and keep with it.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
And giving us your time. God bless you. God bless your family as well. And
come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. And we'll see you soon, Steve.
Nice to meet you, troops. Bye-bye.
Bye, Steve. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Wow. Well, that was the great Steve Perryman. I mean, I hope everyone. We're sorry we couldn't get to all the comments, but with Steve, we didn't have him for very long, so this is now Right, we're going to get to the second part of the show now.
This is when everything hits the fan.
Yeah, basically. Do you want to go through some of the comments there, Ben? Shall we get through some of them?
It's another. So Eddie's saying, Bobby, Stevie loves you as well, man. Yes, he does. He loves everyone, I think. Carl Simpson saying, thank you, Stevie, so much. Always the captain. Yep. Kim saying, are you getting this, Bobby? And he totally did. Aaron W saying, Bob Spur, we love you, Steve. Come on, you Spurs from Aaron. Thanks, our captain. Come on, you Spurs from Kim again. Come on, you mighty Spurs. Much love, Stevie P. Always the European Cup to me too from Ellie. Steve Perryman. Come on, you Spurs. Tottenham till I die. Absolutely. Aaron Dub is saying, wow, exactly what I just said out loud. I fist pumped the air when you said, come on, you Spurs. Yeah, I wanted to do it. Gents, it was amazing. Thank you so much. And Eddie,
we haven't finished yet, by the way. We've still got a bit more of the show to go, but
the second part. This is I might actually have a word in edgeways.
Yeah, I do apologise, Ben.
I don't care. I had a great time, but I get to rest my voice and work at the same time.
Now it becomes the Arthur show. Now Arthur becomes centre stage. Now, as we're now going to go through the stats and the times of the great Bill Nicholson, and Arthur will be able to give us his remembrance of the great Bill Nick sides over the years when he was manager. Firstly to you, Ben, then I come to you, Arthur. Ben, what does Bill Nick mean to you as a young Spurs fan?
It's a standard, the way it should be. Respect, loyalty, hard work. But most importantly, as Steve, Mr. Perryman, laid out over his hour, honesty. There's no honesty at this football club anymore. No. Everything's backhanded. Nothing is transparent. Everything is, what does he mean? We are always looking between the lines for a little inkling of anything. There is no honesty at this football club anymore. And it's deeply upsetting. There's no honesty. But that's what, as Mr. Perryman said before, Bill Nick told you what he thought of you to your face. And he never told you anything that he didn't mean. He never lied to you. He didn't hurt you for no reason. He told you exactly what he meant, and he was honest about it. And that is what Bill Nicholson is: honesty, truth, looking out for the little man, looking out for the working class. As Mr. Perryman says, as he learned from Bill Nick, the working class palace of White Hart Lane. We need to bring this back of honesty and, again, working hard and earning your living, because these players don't earn a living anymore.
No.
Certainly bloody well don't. And so needs to bring that back. That's what Bill Nicholson means, at least to myself.
And you, Arthur, what does Bill mean to you? I mean, you saw the Super Spurs, you saw the great 70s side and going through that hard times in the late 70s and then the revival. What does Bill Nick mean to you?
In football terms, everything. He brought pride into the club. He brought honesty into the club. Steve being a prime example. And he made players play his type of football, which, of course, was the fans' type of football. It's hard to describe, but when you were on the terraces back then, he stuck a DNA into the team, which was the Bill Nicholson DNA. Carried on from Arthur Rowe, but Bill Nick really forged it into something super. And we became Super Spurs. You've heard them say that before. That was only under Bill Nick they became Super Spurs. And they were a phenomenal side. I'll quote the game, which really set the whole thing going. We were playing in Europe. We went away to the Polish side, Gornik, and we lost 2-4 or 4-2. We brought them back to White Hart Lane and smashed them 8-1. Right? Then we played Eusebio's side, Benfica. There were over 25,000 locked out of that game because the ground was heaving. There was over 76,000 inside.
Jesus.
So that's... I got locked out. I didn't see that game against Benfica.
Oh, I bet you were sick, weren't you?
I wasn't a happy bunny. But I can tell you, when you see that and the feeling that everybody has, you know, it was electric. But Bill Nicholson brought this to the club. He forged Spurs into what they now represent. Unfortunately, recently, the DNA has been almost destroyed.
Yeah.
We need to rebuild that. We need to get a grip of things, and we need to, as Steve said, take a view at it perhaps through Bill Nicholson's eyes. What should you do to make a successful side? Yeah, it's different. You know, we're in modern times. Money really has ruined the game because there's so much of it flying around. But you can still forge a DNA like Bill Nick did and turn us into a great club once more. And that's what's missing.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
Well, Aaron Dubb here says you were outside causing a riot, apparently, Arthur. So I don't know if that's true or not, but allegedly.
I owe you one, Alan.
Oh no!
And then Derek says, "I saw that game, Arthur. We were robbed. We were absolutely robbed. And I think we would have beaten Real Madrid in that final.
Oh yeah. Oh, we would. We would.
Yeah.
We were, in my opinion, probably the best side in not just in the UK, in Europe. You know, and these things happen, and they should be shaping the club and the team and for the future. But unfortunately, the money men have got into the game, and we've gone backwards instead of forwards, in my opinion.
Yeah, we have. Ben, I mean, we heard the great Steve Perryman talking about Bill Nick and how he done. I've always said the club have lost his soul. Do you think that's the case? We've lost the soul of Bill Nick in that team and that club.
In the words of the great Keith Birkinshaw, there used to be a football club over there.
Well said, that man.
Yeah.
End of. We seem to be the only football club in Europe or in the world even that football is the least important part of the football club. We're the only football club where football is not even thought about. It's not spoken about. There are no...
Ben, would you agree we've become surrender monkeys?
Worse than that. Now we don't even care.
Yeah, we can't swear on here.
Yeah.
We have become, from the top, it has become, failure is okay as long as you're making money.
Yeah.
This is not, I don't want to go on like an Enoch thing. This is about Bill Nick's tribute and that. I don't want to go on that. That's for another show. This is about Bill Nick and the greatness of why he was the greatest manager of our club.
He wouldn't have allowed that.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make. How do you think he would have? Yeah, how do you think he would have dealt with these owners today?
He would have left. He would have walked and said, "The football club is made to win football matches, and as soon as we get into a comfortable position, we take our foot off the gas." And that is the problem with this football club. We're not daring to try it, daring to risk, and daring to dream. We're not daring to do anymore. To dare is too dear. And he would not have accepted that, and he would have walked.
And I Super Tottenham here, since Keith Birkinshaw left Spurs in '84, we've gone on to win 3 trophies since. Says a lot, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Shall we dig into the statistics of Bill Nick? And then, right. So, Bill Nick was Bill Nicholson OBE. He was born on the 26th of January 1919, and he sadly passed away in 2004. He was a Yorkshire man, wasn't he, Arthur, from Scarborough around that era?
Scarborough.
Yeah. He played for his youth career. He played for the Young Liberals, and then he played for Scarborough Working Man's Club.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of them working man's clubs back in them days, Arthur, in the 60s and sort of around Bill Nicks?
Yeah, there were working men's clubs in North London that I recall. Boxing clubs as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, life was different. Life was tougher, hard, and you only went up the ladder in life, I suppose, if you were prepared to really roll your sleeves up and get stuck in, and not feel sorry for yourself. You know, if you was a man, you were a man's man. Whereas today, in comparison, they're so looked after now. They're babied. You know, if they get a cold, they're off for about 3 weeks.
But don't forget, as Steve touched upon when he was talking earlier, a lot of these guys went through the war as well.
Yeah.
That's some serious shit for toughening you up.
As Kim said, you know, a lot of these guys, that Steve pointed out, went through the war. And that's obviously a tough situation to go through. So these guys were hard nuts, you know.
This is about his youth career, and I've just actually found this. He was born in Scarborough, North Reading of Yorkshire. He was 8 of 9 children, so it was a big family he came from. Nicholson was a pupil at town's Gladstone Road Junior School before attending Scarborough High School for Boys. He worked briefly in laundry before he became a footballer. So I never knew that. After leaving school, but at the age of 17, he was invited to a trial at Tottenham Hotspur, where he arrived on the 16th of March, 1936, after playing for Young Liberals and Scarborough's men's club in his youth. After a month's trial, he was taken on as a ground staff boy at £2 a week.
So he was rich.
He played for Spurs North Nursery Club, Northfleet United, which is here. That's where he went next. And then where he won the Kent Senior Cup Winners' Medal in the final against Dover. And he signed full professional at Tottenham in August 1938. And he played his first game for Tottenham, first league game at Ewood Park against Blackburn Rovers on the 22nd October 1938. He then went on to make, well, as you can see on the screen, 314 appearances and scored 6 goals. His honours as a player, he won the 1949-50 Second Division Championship, and then of course he went on to win the 50-51 First Division Championship, and then the Charity Shield. Ben, when you look at his early career and the way football was played then, do you think, and because he went through the war, he was in the army, he was brought in as a PE instructor for all the new recruits that actually came into the army, to train them. Do you think he learned everything he needs to know for him to become a manager later on in his career at Tottenham?
I think he taught some of those boys how to win a war as well. So that shows how good a character. He came from Yorkshire, and in those days, Yorkshire was not a nice place to be. We see Yorkshire as this beautiful part of the world and lovely trees and forests, and that is harsh to live there. It's a hard place to be. You're working down mines, you're working in factories, you're working in canning plants, you're doing hard manual labour. So I'd like to think that Bill Nicholson taught those army boys what it meant to be someone part of a fighter. And he brought that. So not only did he probably teach them, they taught him something. So when he became Tottenham Hotspur player and eventually manager, he was a leader of men, and people respected him. He knew how to command respect of soldiers that are laying their lives down, and that it can only be that Bill Nicholson was that great of a man. That's how he can command respect, because everything he meant, he said, and he said what he meant.
Yeah. Did your father see Bill Nick playing? Like, you had the likes of Alf Ramsey in that 50-50 one side. Were you brought up on them stories as a kid of watching the great Bill Nick and that pusher run side, Arthur, as a young kid growing up?
Well, my father unfortunately died when I was 9 years of age.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. He stepped off the curb one night in foggy old London, couldn't see a hand in front of your face, and a push bike came out the fog. The handlebar struck him where his lungs are. Within 3 months, he was dead. And, yeah, he was an ex-regimental sergeant major in the army. 54-inch chest. He was a big, broad, fit guy. And but he was an absolute Spurs man through and through. He knew Bill Nicholson because he used to run a decorating business, builders business, and met Bill Nick and used to go have a pint now and again with him, you know. So these were men. These weren't kids. These were men. And I know I keep saying men, but you look at today's players in comparison, they couldn't hold a candle to the guys back then. You know, they were just tough. They were hard. They'd been through war. And as you say, Bill Nick had turned into the PE trainer as well and was able to command respect. And that also was how he implanted his DNA into Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Because they called him Mr. Tottenham, and there's a reason for that. You know, it's what we were. At the moment, we're a sad indictment of what we were. We need to look at ourselves and get back to what we were.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Arthur. Ben, he was a centre half for a couple of seasons, and then he played the rest of his career as a right half. I think, Arthur, is that like a right centre back, isn't it? Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
With the players they had then, Ben, with like Arthur Rowe brought this push and run thing in. I said the story before how he taught it. He told the Tottenham player, they were in the car park. He said, right, hit that ball against the wall, and then you move to where the ball goes. That's how simple push and run was. Do you think managers today should look back at their managers of the 50s and 60s? You had like Arthur Rowe, Bill Nick, Sir Matt Busby, Bill Shankly, and then you had like Bob Paisley, Keith Birkinshaw. Should managers look back to football when it was simple?
Yes.
And try to take something from that into today's game? I'll start with you, Arthur, and then I go to you, Ben.
Yeah.
Do you think they should do that, Arthur?
Yes, I do. And the reason I say that is because football basically is a simple game. You get the ball and you stick that leather thing in the onion bag. That's what it's about, right? How you do it is the secret of the game, isn't it? I mean, one team plays one way, another team plays another. But the game really is simple, really. It's become over-technified now. You know, people make it difficult. It's not difficult.
Look what I've done to the offside rules.
Yeah, I mean, they're fiddling around with the offside rules and stuff like this. You know, football is still, to me, the beautiful game. But they're ruining it. Everybody. It's not just Spurs. Everybody. You know, they're making it too technical when it shouldn't be. It's a simple game. You get the ball, you take it forward, and you score. Yeah. That's really what it's about. Okay, I'll make it very simple. But today, it's, oh no, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. It's ridiculous. The simpler the game is, the more direct the football. The more direct the football, the more goals.
Yeah. Ben, as a younger fan, when you look back at these old pictures of the Super Spurs of the 60s and the 70s, how do you feel watching back to them days under the great Bill Nick to watching the Conte now managing the team? Do you feel that do you feel let down of what the side used to play like to how they play now?
Well, the problem with football is, again, Steve Perryman said and Arthur has said it, these players are pampered. They don't know what it means to be a footballer anymore. They don't. The footballers back then saw it as a job, but they loved it. They did it because they loved it. A lot of these footballers now see football as a stepping stone to becoming a celebrity.
Yeah.
And that is the problem with players such as Dele and Paul Pogba for the most part. And all these Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, there's so many of them. Even players like Lamela and Reguilon and all these players, a load of the English players, they as well. They all see football as stardom. They don't see it as being a footballer. They don't love football. They love themselves more than they love the game. So now football is so separated from the fan in the street, the person that's working, what is it, a 9-to-5 job, or Lingard, Trebley in the chat. They're so separated from the club and their fans. They've lost track of where they're going. So how is someone like, for example, I'm just going to give like Harry Kane earning 200 grand. How is he going to know what someone earning a 9-to-5, doing a 9 to 5, earning £8.50 an hour? They don't, because they've never lived that life. They don't know what it's like to when you're having a really bad day, when you need to roll your sleeves up, and then whilst you're struggling, you have to pull something out of the rabbit in the hat, and you've got to make your family happy. They've got one thing. They're not almost not people anymore. They're almost robots for the most part. They are human beings, and they do understand what it's like, but they're so separated from society that it's not healthy anymore.
That's right.
And they're not teaching a new generation of how to act. But all these silly social media posts, and you wouldn't catch Steve Perryman on TikTok whilst the team are playing.
I think if Bill Nick caught anyone on TikTok nowadays, I think he would have got the phone and chucked it out the window personally myself.
Give them a hiding, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
In my business of working as a barista, or not my business now because it's a completely different business, you shouldn't be seeing people using their phone while they're on a shift.
No.
Get off your phone. You got to make 400 cups of coffee. Get back to work. Or if you're in a canning factory, get back to work. Don't make social media posts.
Yeah, that was Bill Nick's sort of attitude, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he was very successful as a player. He won the second division championship, our first league title as a club. And then he won the first division championship then in 50-51 under the great Arthur Rowe with the push and run side. And then the Charity Shield, then the one. I think the one it was shared. I can't just remember. Sorry. I do apologise. Then on the 11th of October, 1958, the great Bill Nicholson became Spurs manager from 1958 until 1974. And this is when the glory run started for Tottenham. His first game as Tottenham Hotspur manager on the 11th of October 58 was against Everton. Yes, the scoreline, that is true. That actually was the scoreline. They actually beat them 10-4. But that scoreline, I think, Arthur, if I'm right in saying, was eclipsed the following season against Crew Alexander, 13-2.
Yeah. That's it. We slaughtered them.
Yeah. I think, what was that? Next year, or was that the next year or the year after?
I think it was the year after. I mean, it's trying to remember all this.
I think it was the year before the double, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. 59-60.
Yeah.
And then, well, folks, just you better sit down for what I'm going to put up next, because this was his honours as a manager. First division champion 61, FA Cup winner 61, the double. FA Cup 1962. Now, can I just say they were the first team in the 20th century to do the double. I think they were the first team in the 20th century, I think, to retain the FA Cup, or if not, in a very long time. They were the first English side to win a European trophy in the Cup Winners' Cup, which a match we have shown on this channel before. In 63, again under the captaincy of the great Dave Mackay in 67, won the FA Cup, and then the League Cup. I think Martin Peters then was captain for the League Cup win of 71, the UEFA Cup 72. I think the first English side to win 2 European trophies as an English side. And then his final trophy was the League Cup win in 73. I'll go first with you, Ben, because Arthur, I'm going to love listening to you to go through all this. Ben, you look at that. I mean, you can really see why he's the greatest manager Tottenham has ever had, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like not only it's putting together the pieces. Not only was he a great person as a human being, he was a winner. So he proved you didn't have to win with cheating, game management, falling over, kicking players, hurting players, disrespecting the referee, disrespecting the other team, disrespecting this. They did it. Not only did they do it, they did it with a flourish. They did it by everyone loved them. This is why Tottenham were for many, many years. Everyone's second team was because of Bill Nick, because they did everything. Not only were they winners, they were winners doing the right thing. And that all came from Bill Nicholson. And we don't do that anymore. Not only do we not win, we also don't do it the right way. So Bill Nicholson he won everything, but doing it the right way. Respect, honour, decency.
Yeah. I mean, you look at that there, Ben. I mean, 2 trophies in 61, 62, another trophy, 63, another trophy, 67, another trophy, 71, 72, 73, a trophy every season.
Yeah.
I mean, in that sort of 12-year period, we were unstoppable. And even the year we didn't win a trophy, we were in the top 2 or the top 3 of the league. Arthur, you're a fan through all of this, to this 12-year period of us winning everything. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Firstly, I've got 2 questions. The first question to you, Arthur, is what was it like to live through that period of that 12-year period? I mean, I'll give my eye teeth to live through your period as a Spurs fan. What was it like?
I can wax lyrical over this. It was phenomenal. It was unbelievable, really, because this is when we became known as Super Spurs. And we were primarily a cup team. If we were in a cup, other teams would be trembling in their boots. You know, they said, "Oh, we've got we've got the mighty Spurs," and we would expect to get to the final, and if we got to the final, we would expect to win the cup.
How time changes.
We were that good. We were that good, and so it almost brings me to tears now when I think I was on a show and somebody said, "Do you realise?" He said, "I've just worked it out. There's only 3 cups you haven't seen us win. You've seen all the other cups," and I have. You know, it's incredible. It was just an era, that 12-year period. I'll give you a quick story which might bring a smile to your face. I was sitting there watching us when we played Leicester in the FA Cup. And I was sitting there, and my mum, bless her, she was just like my wife. Have your dinner on your lap in front of the TV dinner, and there's your sweet afterwards. And I always remember it was plain and syrup with custard. And we scored. And I went, yeah! This thing went up in the air, flipped, came down straight into my nether regions and burnt me. I'll never forget that. It was phenomenal. But it's what you did because it was the mighty Spurs, you know, Super Spurs. Yeah, there were times, and I really mean this. You guys are my friends as well, and I'd like to say I wish I could take you back so you could see what I did through my eyes. Incredible.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it really was. This is going to be a hard question for you. I'll ask Ben. I'll give you time to think about it. It's the same question I'm going to ask Ben. I'm going to ask you, Arthur. So I'll go to Ben, give you time to think about it. Out of all them trophies we won in that 12-year period, Ben and then Arthur, which one would you take now? If you could take any of them trophies, you're allowed to pick one for us to win next season. What would you pick?
Well, we're still in it for this season. I'd like us to win the FA Cup.
Oh, so would I.
Yeah.
You know, as it was then, the trophy.
Mm.
You know, people have tried to minimise the impact of the FA Cup, but it's still a big trophy.
Yeah.
And I'd love us to bring another FA Cup in. I really would.
Yeah.
Now, this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben?
It has to be the league title for me. I mean, we've always dreamed of getting to the top of the mountain in a football sense. And I would love to see us say to my little nephew, most importantly, he's probably, I don't know if he'll ever like football. Hopefully he will one day. That is the best team in the country, and people aspire to be us because of the way we act. And we have lived off a failure for too long now of being fourth best. We like to be in the top four, or as I call it, third loser. I want to see us at the top of the mountain. So I would love to see us win the title, the league title. Personally, that's for me. But one thing about the FA Cup is if we did somehow win it, that would be the proof of Tottenham Hotspur are back. That was the first thing that we did when we came up from relegation in the 80s. We won the FA Cup, and then we went on a run in the 80s. Tottenham Hotspur are back because we are back holding the FA Cup, which was our trophy, and it needs to be our trophy again. So I personally would love to see us win the league title, but emotionally it has to be the FA Cup to say Tottenham Hotspur are physically back, and we mean business.
And I'm just going to be greedy, and I'm just going to say all of it, apart from the Cup Winners' Cup, which actually doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I feel I need to give you a reason why I said the FA Cup is because we're still in it, and we certainly won't win the league.
Yeah,
Mr. Daigle.
Good evening, good evening, sir.
Shabbat shalom, Ben Achi, and hello, Dara.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Brian. Nice to have you on, Brian. We had the great Stevie P tonight. It was just on the speaking to him. I'll ask you the same question as I asked the lads. Bill Nick won them trophies in the 12-year period. If you could pick one, I know the Cup Winners' Cup's not around anymore, and we can call that the Conference League, all right?
Bring back the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah. If you could pick one trophy to win next season out of that 12-year period, what would you pick?
Well, the First Division Championship, I guess we're calling that the Premier League, yeah?
Yeah.
Premier League.
And it means we've got to get relegated and then win the...
Oh, there's Kim. Why am I looking over there to try and find you? Kimber, how are you, darling?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I was going to ask Kim as well. I hope you're thinking, Kim, because I'm coming to you next with the same question.
Yeah, look, listen, none of us are going to complain at either a Premier League title or an FA Cup, are we? None of us.
No.
That would be a near orgasmic experience for any Spurs fan. But it just feels a million miles off at the moment. We need to really churn that squad before we're anywhere near it, I think.
Question to you, Ben, Brian. I've asked them, Ben and Arthur, what does Bill Nick mean to you as a Spurs fan?
He's the foundation of everything. He is. You look at Sir Matt Busby at Manchester United. You look at Bill Shankly at Liverpool. You look at Don Revie at Leeds. You look at Brian Clough at Nottingham Forest. Well, this man is our version of that. He is. We all say Martin Yeo is the catalyst for what's going on right now. And he is, like the return of what we were doing and where we were going. But this man is what invented it. This man invented the wheel at Tottenham Hotspur. Pure and simple. The respect that this man demanded and commanded. Listen, when someone has their debut as a manager and beats Everton 10-4 on your debut, you're in the midst of greatness. This guy, like, we still hear famous clips from his interviews and speeches. This man drank, slept, ate everything Tottenham Hotspur, everything. He set the morals, he set the guidelines, he set the ethics, he set the everything. It's him. There is no Tottenham without Sir Bill Nick. End of.
No, there really isn't. There really isn't, Brian. Right, he made one England cap. He had one England cap. It's the same as Steve Perryman. I don't know if Arthur can remember this or not, but he actually scored after 19 seconds. I mean, that's just... When I read that stat earlier, I nearly fell off my chair. After 19 seconds, he scored his one and only England goal against Portugal. Do you remember that, Brian, Arthur, or...
Me, definitely not.
No.
No.
No. Okay, fair enough.
I can barely remember what I did yesterday.
I've just dug a big hole and walked straight into it. That's what I've just done.
I remember, obviously, I really remember Bill Nick from his days at Spurs, not international games, you know. But as I said, I'm still sad that he never got more caps.
Yeah.
Because he certainly deserved them. And when you think his opposite number on the other side was Sir Alf Ramsey.
Says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
And the other thing is, I just want to say that he obeyed the basics of football. You build from the back. You build your defence, then your midfield, then your forward line. And that's exactly what Bill Nicholson did. And look what he got us, you know. Phenomenal teams.
He really did. Brian, he left the club in 74 after, as Steve said, that it was all getting to him a bit and the time.
Yep.
Keith Birkinshaw brought him back in 76. And then I couldn't believe this stat either. He was club consultant from 1976 to 1991. Does that not surprise you with Bill Nick's finger somewhere in Tottenham why we were still so successful even in the 80s up to the 91 Cup final?
Well, the only thing I've got to say about that is that's what happens when you bring football people in to run a football team, and now there's no one better. There's no one better to bring back in those days than what I just said he represents and what he meant. And I'm sure Arthur, Ben, and yourself have very, very similar things that this man is Mr. Tottenham. And that's what happens. And that's not me taking a swipe at the where we currently are. It's just look what Ajax do with Van der Sar, Overmars left. When football people are there to do the footballing aspects, you've got to remember the respect that people had for Bill Nick as well. When you're dealing with Bill Nick, you're like, okay, I'm dealing with a legend here. I'm dealing with a man of principles. I'm dealing with a man of... And this is what happens when you have football men that know what they're doing and have years and years of experience and knowing how the game works and how to deal with things and how to approach things, then things get done. Things get done. And like we said, at the moment, the Conte effect for trying to get players in, or the Mourinho effect, or the youngsters wanted to come and play for Poch, Bill Nicholson was like, you know, like when you have gatekeepers, like if people want to speak to Alan Sugar or Bill Gates or whatever, they've got to get through loads of people to get to that guy. Well, Bill Nick was that gate opener. Bill Gates, Bill Nicholson would open doors. And people go, wow, that's the great Bill Nick. I want to speak to that man. I want to hear what that man's got to say. This man, look what he's done. Look what he represents. Look what he's achieved. Look what he wants to talk to me. Oh, and that's what he did. And not just him. That's what football men, especially back in that day and going forward, like with great players. Please God, we have people like Just to say these, and hopefully Ledley King in his role will grow on to become of that kind of caliber, not just an ambassador, a more involved part of the football team and the setup. You look at people that could come back. I'd love to see Jan Vertonghen back in some kind of capacity. But that's and these are just me picking random players. You look at Rafa van der Vaart. You need players like this to be within that know the footballing world to make these transitions easier, and that's what Bill Nick did.
He really did, and Ben, you know, he then became club president in 1991, and then that's sort of when his influence in the club sort of finished. But this final quote, I did have his stats up for how many games he as manager, and I forgot to put it on, and I forgot where I've left it, but I will in the next stream. I will bring it up. He got his OBE in 1975, and this is the bit that gets me. And I'll start with you, Ben, then I'll go to you, Arthur, and then you, Brian. White Hart Lane, the road, I think it was by the corner pin then, by the gates, Bill Nick's gates.
Yeah.
Was called Bill Nicholson Way in 1999.
No, that was not the corner pin. The White Hart Park.
Rudolph. It was Rudolph's.
Rudolph's, that's it. Yeah, sorry. I was getting mixed up with my thing. Where the gates were anyway, where the Bill Neal gates were to the west stand. Built that called Bill Nicholson Way. I mean, for God's sake, this man was, you look what he's won, what he's done for the club. Surely, Ben, we should do more for the man's memory than what we've done.
It's pathetic.
It's pathetic. What should we do as a club to remember? I mean, you look at Manchester United, they have Matt Busby. You look at Leeds, they have Don Revie. You look at Manchester United, they've got the Sir Alex Ferguson stand. You look at Nottingham Forest, the Brian Clough stand. Surely they remember their managers. We do nothing for our greatest manager that ever lived. What would you do? What do you want to see the club do?
Well, to start with, they need to name that Park Lane the Bill Nicholson stand, first and foremost. It could still be known as Bill Nicholson's Park Lane, or Bill Nicholson should have a portrait of himself in that stand that people can show their respect to the great man, even if it's not a statue, because I can understand why some people might not want a statue. But that stand is the antithesis of everything Tottenham, and so was Bill Nick. So that stand, there should be as many pictures of Bill Nick in that stadium as there are silly things to make money. That's what he meant. There was barely any pictures of Bill Nichol in that stadium, and the ones you can see are usually got a band in front of them playing crap music. There should be every single year we should have a day to remember Bill Nick, as well as a stand being that. We should remember that man, because that man was Tottenham. He still is Tottenham. Even after he died in 2004, he's still Tottenham. There's nothing more. If you could rename Tottenham to anything, you could call it Bill Nicholson. It's almost the same as rock and roll with Chuck Berry. If you can rename it, there's only one thing: Bill Nicholson. Yeah. He built that club, and there is not enough to remember him.
Yeah, Arthur, you were lucky enough to see the great man in his management prime in the 60s and 70s. What should the club do for you? You're a fan that's seen it all. Well, what would you love to see the club do for Bill Nick? And I think the club should actually talk to fans like you that have seen Bill Nick, that have been around in that time, that have supported Tottenham for all their lives. What do you want to see Tottenham do to remember the great Bill Nicholson?
Long-time fans like myself, we are part of the fabric. We're part of the Spurs history. We've been there. We've seen it. You know, we didn't do it on the pitch, but we were there in the stands for them. And Brian will know where I'm going to come from here. I'm going to apologise. It's piss poor that we don't have a statue of Bill Nick, and it's piss poor he was never knighted for being the first manager to win a European trophy.
I think the first English manager to do the double.
First English manager to do the double, top flight. it's also piss poor that we haven't got one of Jimmy Greaves alongside him.
Mm.
Two of the most influential people at that club during the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Let's face it, they give us sod all to be grateful about in the modern age. They could at least look backwards a little bit and kind of celebrate our past, couldn't they?
Yeah.
They well to dig back into the past, as we said earlier, and take a cue from these managers for today.
And to see your history, follow us on Tottenham Tantrum Gold every morning at 11:30. Plug for the show.
We won't let it die in this channel, and that's my lifetime's ambition to the day I die, to remind everyone of what this club is, what it was about, and what it should be about. And it's me and Ben's mission to keep it going, and we will keep it going. Arthur, it's for people like you that I have the utmost respect for. I really do. Us younger fans, you're the ones that laid the foundation with Bill Nick. You helped lay for generations of fans after you that have come. You've laid the foundations, and we're all grateful for you. So thank you, Arthur, for everything you've done for us fans in this club, because we've been nowhere without fans like you.
And I'm just chuffed that everybody appreciates it, and I'm in your company.
Yeah, well, it's our honour, Brian.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to go down the Levy out route. I'm really trying not to go down that route.
I'm not going to go down the Levy out. I'm just enjoying watching Kim's floating finger like a fly.
I noticed that. I could see that what she was doing.
I can just be off and go away, leave me alone. But yeah,
question to you, Brian. Bill Nick, what should we do?
Well, do you know what I would have done? And the very first thing I would have done is, whilst we're waiting for naming rights, like Ben said, but I would have called that the Bill Nick Arena, or the Bill Nick, until it gets naming rights, that stadium. I hate the Tottenham Hotspur Arena.
Yeah.
I hate it.
So
You call that Neil Bickelson, the road is gone. The road is gone. Where his road was, there is no road. So whilst we're waiting for naming rights, why don't you give something back to the fans for the identity and call it the Bill Nick Stadium? Or the Bill Nick Arena, whatever you want to, Bill Nicholson, whatever, to honour the great man until the naming rights came. We had this discussion when we had Sean on your show about the statue.
Yeah.
I think it's an outrage that there isn't a statue of him. If there had to be one person, it's him.
Yeah.
If there's a second, it's Jimmy Greaves. Mm-hmm. And they say, as it was brought up, that Jewish people don't bow to idols or bow to statues. I'm like, well, why are you at every Saturday home game? Why is there no kosher food in the stadium? Mm-hmm. So we can't use that route. I think the stadium should have been called the Bill Nick Stadium. Yeah. There has to be something. We have that bust because it was there before Levy got there. We have to honour our past.
Mm. I think we should do. I think we should start a petition for that. You know, Brian. I actually feel very strongly on that.
Well, you're trying to drive me down that road, and I'm
not trying to drive you down that road. I'm just saying.
I'll try and stay clear. The only thing I'll say on that is, the petition. I don't think it will do a damn thing. As much as we'd get the fans will play their part, but I don't think anything will come of it.
Yeah, I know what you're getting. And I wasn't trying to take it down that road, Brian. I was just trying because we should do more. Can I also say big up to Kuva. He's a massive part of this channel as well as Phil. And you know, Kuva remembers the shelf, standing the shelf as a youngster as well. He's told me stories that make me tears run down my face for stories for him. So big up Kuva and big up for everything you do as well, sir. I like the bit he also says this where I've got to bring it up. I forget where it is now. Well, apparently you're stalking each other again. Apparently, Cooper says.
Yeah. Yep. I was just on a stream with Cooper on Spurs related, and we're about to stalking each other. What can I say? We can't keep away from each other.
No. I'm going to bring up some pictures. I can share the screen. So I'm going to cover people's faces, but these are of Bill Nick during his lifetime at Tottenham Hotspur. So I'm sorry to everyone, their faces are going to be covered, but this is the only way I can do it. The first one here is of the 51 team. You can see Bill Nick there and Alf Ramsey somewhere there, and Arthur Rowe. This is Bill Nick in 72 with the UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
You can see how happy he looks there. He looks really chuffed. There's Bill Nick then with the 63 Cup Winners' Cup. This is another one of Bill Nick in his playing days. 51. This is Bill Nick leading out the 67 FA Cup winners.
Yeah.
There's Bill Nick in his playing days. I mean, look at them shorts. I mean, they're long.
Warm.
Yeah. This is my favourite picture. It really
what is
is.
the goalkeeper doing?
I was waiting for that.
Looks like he's levitating.
What is he doing? That's some Exorcist or Blair Witch Project shit.
Yeah. I when I saw that picture, I said I have to bring it in because it looks absolutely so funny. It's like the goalkeeper's right. I'm just dancing into the net here. I'm still not know if that was the East Stand or the West Stand, but would you know, Arthur, if that was the West Stand or the East Stand?
That was the hang on.
I think it's the East Stand because the West Stand was where the coaches are, and there's definitely no coaches on the sidelines there.
All right, so that was the.
I would
East Stand,
think.
right.
I think.
But I mean, that stand looks brilliant. I would love to stood in that stand. I mean, that looks brilliant.
You know what? Aaron Dove is my brother. Oh, by the way, I've got your voice now, Aaron. I haven't listened to it. I've just had a lot going on.
Yeah.
But in that, if you go back to that shirt, he's just asked why is Jack Grealish playing in goal, which is absolutely brilliant.
He's a dead ringer for him, isn't he?
That's brilliant, Aaron.
Fred, that's well spotted, Aaron. I'll tell you one thing. Fair play to you, sir. This is the 50 side. You got Arthur Rowe there. You got that man in the middle named Forget Me, Ted something. His name Forget.
Ted Bird.
You got Alf Ramsey there. Bill Nick. I think Ed Bailey was Eddie Bailey in that side, Arthur.
Yes. Can't see him at the moment though.
That's
No.
a proper trench coat as well. I love a trench coat. That's
It
a
is.
proper trench coat. Bring the trench coat back.
He's a hitman for the mafia.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah, but
It does look like one.
Why is the goalkeeper wearing a turtleneck?
He always did, Ted Ditchburn.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and he had a shop.
Okay.
He had a shop in Northumberland Park, grocery store.
There we go.
And you can see the badge there, the cockerel, very big cockerel badge. The badge, I mean, that badge is wicked.
I'd bring that back for a year.
I would too, actually. We've got Bill Nick here celebrating with the.
Steve Perryman. They're brilliant. Look.
I don't know if this is the 71 or 73 League Cup winning side. I'm not sure. As 71.
Is that Alan Gilzine in the bottom left, Arthur?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perryman next to him.
Yep, you got Chivers behind Gilzine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Pat Jennings there somewhere.
That's Martin Peters, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't
You
think.
got you got the young Irish winger there. Where is he? Or did he come later?
I think he might have come later. I'm just trying to make out.
Alan Mullery's in the middle.
Yeah, and you've got, is that Phil Bill on the far right?
I think you might be right, Arthur.
Phil Bill.
Yeah. I think is that Cyril Knowles next to Alan Mullery?
That's Cyril Knowles, and Mullery's got the cup on his head.
Yeah.
And the fella next, I can't think of his name.
Who's the fella next to Martin Peters? He was a winger. Was he that Scottish winger?
What, John Duncan?
Yeah. Is that John Duncan next to Martin Peters?
Hang on, Kim's got her arms across me at the moment.
Trying to make it bigger, like the screen bigger. But
Let's have a quick look. No, I don't think that is Duncan, actually.
No.
Do you know what?
I-
Gaguma, God bless Gaguma. How are you doing, honey? Aaron picked out something in the one, but Gaguma's just picked out the thing from this. How shiny is that cup?
it really is.
It's very shiny.
Someone got the Bravo out.
I tell you one thing, we have the best people in our comments for picking out stuff. Absolutely. And we apologise.
Isn't it?
Yeah, we apologise for not getting up.
Sunshine. Maybe it's shining because of her in the chat. She's making
Oh,
the
yeah,
colour
Jimmy Neighbour.
Is it Neighbour, is it?
Jimmy Neighbour.
Oh,
Well-
right, that's who it was. I apologise to everyone. We haven't got everyone's comment up for this show. We do apologise. It's just that with Mr. Perryman on and everything, it's just gone a bit mad.
To give us 20 minutes and then he gave us an entire hour.
He did, bless him. He didn't have to do that.
No, he didn't.
This is not Bill Nick. Well, it is. But Bill Nick, you couldn't bring up Danny Blanchflower in the build. You had to bring him up.
Oh, yeah.
There's his skipper holding the FA Cup and a load of balls on his shoulder. Right, I'm going to training now. This picture for me, I actually got it for Brian. This one's for you, Brian, because I just saw that and I could see you as manager doing that. You and Arthur, I could just see you doing that. So that one's for you, Brian.
Oh, thank you.
Stern.
But look at them with all their suits there and everything.
Yeah.
Look at how the changing rooms have changed.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's just such a basic. Here's one peg for all your stuff on. Now they've got all the lockers. They've got. It's just
I'm waiting for
ridiculous.
that Rolex. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
You see him there talking to the player what he did wrong, like Steve Perryman says, this is what you did wrong. That's brilliant.
Yeah, they would have won 7-0 and he was still just said, you did this wrong today, mate.
I will, before we end, I've got to get Arthur to tell the story about how he got Jimmy Greaves, but that's at the end of the show, which is actually coming up soon. We are going to wrap up soon. But before we end, Arthur's got to tell the story how he got Jimmy Greaves, because it's a brilliant story.
Should we take the photo off so we can see him then?
No, we'll do it at the end. I've got a few more photos to go, and then we'll get right. That one for me is the favourite picture. We've got Jimmy Greaves one side and the great Bill Nick on the other.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We've got that one there of Bill Nick holding the UEFA Cup. And
I can pretend I'm winning with him.
yeah, that one for me, I love this picture of him and Glenn Hoddle. I mean, that's just brilliant.
Yeah, Holden God.
Yeah. And then this is the last one, and this is the most famous picture of ever, and I think it's this one, standing outside.
Yeah. That should be made into the statue. They should remake that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That should be outside White Hart Lane.
Yeah. It should be.
That is what should be. That man welcoming everyone from all over the world to visit his club, the club he built, the house that he built. That should be outside White Hart Lane.
When I go to heaven, Ben, I want that man. That's why I want that man to meet me at the pearly gates, Bill Nick.
And they should have a plaque under that saying Mr. Tottenham.
Yeah. What happened to them gates? I wonder.
No, they saved them. I heard. I'm not sure what they've done with them, but they reckon they saved them.
I think him pointing that they put them in your ear.
Mm.
What do you mean?
She said, "What do you mean?"
What see like?
And big up Bob Spur as well.
I had that honour as well today of meeting Arthur and Ken, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Of course you did.
Well, I always say I had the honour of meeting Brian 2 weeks ago, and I'll tell you one thing, it's the highlight of my year. It really was the highlight of my year. It really was. Go on, Arthur. Let's hear the story how Bill Nick got Jimmy Greaves, because this is absolute classic. It really is, and it's the way to end the stream on of this Bill Nicholson special. So go on, Arthur.
They was at London Airport, and in walked Jimmy Greaves. So Bill's in there. Jimmy Greaves came in, and it was morning, Bill. Oh, hello, Jimmy. And then he said, you flying out then, Jimmy? He said, yeah, I'm supposed to be flying back to Milan today. They said, oh, he said, you don't sound too happy about it. No, I want to come back and play in England. Oh, you fancy playing for Spurs, Jim? Oh, he said, yes, please. I'd love to do that, Bill. That's how the deal was made. But Jimmy Greaves thought he was going to be the first £100,000 player, and Bill paid £99,999, 19 shillings and 11 pence, a penny short. That's the story of how Jimmy Greaves came to Spurs.
I still laugh at that. I still laugh at that every time. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone who's been in the comments. Everyone that's been, I mean, there's 30 people still watching. Look, please get them likes and subscribes in. We're trying to get to 400 before the end of February. But this show wouldn't be nothing without you, the people that watch it and put your comments in. It wouldn't be, this show wouldn't be nothing without my co-host, Ben, Brian, who comes on, supports the channel. Also for Garth, King Arthur, and the lovely Kim B for coming on and gracing us with their presence, because this show would be nothing without them. Also, I want to thank everyone in the chat, Ellie, Aaron Dubb, Super Tottenham, most especially Bob Spur.
Big up.
And this show, Bob, is dedicated to you, for you to get better, sir. This show is in honor of you. We've got Guguma, too many people to mention, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching this, for supporting this.
There it is, Derbert. Piss off, Derbert.
I've got it. I've made it. I've made it. I've made it. Now that's it. If I don't do another stream, I'm happy. I've made it. But most of all, I want to thank Mr. Steve Perryman for giving up his time tonight. He was supposed only to give 20 minutes, but he gave an hour. So that shows the quality of the man. I'll start with you, Brian. Thank you for coming on. Where can people find you, sir? And finally, also, where can people find you? But finally, what's your thoughts on the great Bill Nick?
So, I mean, well, I'll start talking about the legend that is Bill Nick. Obviously, he means it's because of him and everything he set up that we're all here doing this. We are all of the. I mean, obviously, Arsenal Fan TV started, but the whole thing, everything we do, we did a lot of great things before him. Hopefully, we'll do a lot of great things after him. But people will say for generations, the greatest manager to ever manage Tottenham, like Harry Kane. Harry Kane could take over Jimmy Greaves and go down as Tottenham's greatest manager, striker and goal scorer. But a manager will have to come in and have to be absolutely iconic to ever emulate what that man's done. That man, please God, I have kids. My grandkids will be telling their grandkids about Bill Nicholson. Yes, there's Arthur Rowe and the other, but Bill Nick will be the one that always stands out. Always. Where it comes from, where they can find me, listen, I'm going to be very quick with this because they can find me there, Tottenham on Tour. The main thing I want to talk about right now is I've gone on from one legend, and now I'm going to talk about a superstar. I'm going to talk about my best friend. I'm going to talk about my Superman, which is Bob Spur. And as we all know, he is coming back. I don't care if you subscribe to me. I don't care. I'd love you to. The most important thing is the legend is coming back to us. The superstar is coming back to us. My Superman is coming back to us, and he will be back on YouTube soon. And believe me, a lot of people have missed or not seen what. But I mean, obviously, as Kim will know, and as we all know, but we've been very open about Bob Spur updates. Me, Kim, Tammy, and literally, a lot of people have got to know who he is without seeing him or going back and watching his past streams and then knowing who he is. The crown jewel in our community is coming back. A lot of this YouTube family, yes, we are Tottenham TV, are the mothership, There's so many chats that Bob created. There's so many topics that Bob does on YouTube that no other people have. He does his show in on the wall every Saturday at 10:30. I think it's 10:30 at night UK time, and very, very soon he'll be back, and everyone's going to be here to support him and help him. So listen, all I'm going to say is, yes, you can find me at Tottenham on Tour, but I urge everyone, before you even think about, if you haven't already subscribed to Tottenham on Tour, go and subscribe to this channel, because it will be the best decision you ever make, because he is a legend. He is a superstar. He is my best friend. He is Superman. And that's where everyone needs to go. So this is all about getting Bob Spur back to where he should be and getting the numbers that he deserves.
Yeah, I echo that completely. I wouldn't be here. I always say, like, Dave Harris is the mothership for our channel, but Bob Spur, for me, gave me the confidence to do it. He was always there with advice when I used to Twitter him. He would always give me hints and what to do at the start and how to do things. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And my admiration, he's inspired me for what he's gone through. I'm immensely I'm in his awe. That man is, as Brian said, he is Superman. And he is an inspiration. He reminds me of Rocky, because it's not hard. It's not as hard. You get hit, is getting hit and keep moving forward. And Bob, for me, is Rocky to me, because he keeps moving forward. And Bob, we all love you. We all miss you, and we can't wait to see you back, because YouTube is going to be a brighter place when you're back on our screens again. And Ben, Coover, do you want to say anything about Bob Spur?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, the man below me, Mr. Brian, has already said all you need to know, and Dermot's already said all you need to know. I've only been on one stream with Bob. It's not like I've known Bob personally, but what I've always said in the chat is never tell people what you think people should think of you. The way people think of you is the way people's colleagues and friends think of them. And there's nothing what anyone in this community says that says that man is not an absolute legend of a bloke. Every single person you meet, from Brian to Coov to Dermot to Arthur to Kim to all the people in the community, say what a man this man is. And that is the proof comes with the pudding. And I've only ever been on one show with Bob, and he was great. He didn't look down at me as someone that had never been on a show before. And since then, we've gone from strength to strength. I wouldn't have done a stream 3 months ago. And the first stream I ever did was with Mr. Bob Spur. Me and Brian met later that day. I don't know why Brian wanted to meet me, but it was quite funny, really. But he's an absolute legend of a bloke. And when I do finally get to share a stream with him properly and it's a proper show, it's going to be an absolute pleasure. It's going to be an unbelievable moment, and it's shown how that my journey on this 3-month thing has come about. So I wasn't doing this 3 months ago. I was just sitting in my room doing nothing and twiddling my thumbs. And now suddenly I have a massive community of friends that all come into my coffee shop, and I'm helping Danny Kiriakou do with his coffee machine. I had Kim and Arthur in my shop today. I speak with the lovely Shamu on the phone every other day. Whether it's Aaron Dubb in the chat talking about Japanese culture in my coffee shop, on me doing my own stream. It's partly because Bob was there. Him treating me properly gave me the confidence to do it myself, and it's not something I can really say anymore. Hopefully I have portrayed it well, but I can't wait to actually share a stream with the bloke.
Yeah. Cove?
I'd say about Bob, he's been so sorely missed over these last few months, because when times start going bad with this club or within the community and people are at each other's throats, there was one man who was always the sensible, he was the calming influence. He's the man that listens to everything. Yeah, that's right, Brian. Mr. Calm. No, Bob is the one that will listen. He's got an integrity and a warmth and a charisma that you want to listen to him, and he listens to you when you're talking, which is a rare thing. I've got a bad habit of talking over people, Bob will listen. He'll take in every word, process it, calmly come back with a response. He's a very good feel-good factor to this community. He's a calming influence, and he's the granddaddy of the sort of happy feeling, happy vibes around this community. Always has been for me. Even when I wasn't joining in on streams, I would listen to Bob's channel. I'd like to have it on in the background. It was a calming thing. It's a nice bit of fun. He's got a wicked sense of humour to go with it. So it's been really missed around these channels in the last few months. So it's really chuffed to have him back.
I mean, for me, Bob, and I just thought of it when it came in. Bob is a calming influence on all of us. But Bob is like your best friend. When Bob speaks to you, you think he's the only one. Like, he makes you feel he's only talking to you. You could be in a room of a room full of people, and Bob will come in, and he would speak to you, and you feel you're the only person in the world he's talking to.
So you know what? You want to talk about Bob's personality?
Yeah.
And his sense of humour. Well, there you go. And I'm just going to echo. I mean, I need to echo this. Like what you and Ben said, Dermot. You came on because of Bob Spur, and he gave you the inspiration. People know that I came back to London, and why I came back to London. I met Bob through seeing him on We Are Tottenham, like I did with Ben. I saw Ben on We Are Tottenham TV, and I said, Ben and Stephen, I need to meet this dude. Well, Bob and I did a stream together, and then the rest was history. I've got another mate, Jerry, that is my other best mate. I've known him for 14 years. No one gets on a parallel to him until this man entered the scene. I've known this guy about a year and a half. I was in England for 7 weeks. I got back for 3 weeks. I was like, right, I'm coming back. He needs me. That's the power this man has, and that's the love that he receives from me and from everyone, because I wouldn't do this for just anyone. This guy is very, very special. And you know what? Like we've been saying with Wally Skip, to bring it back to Tottenham, you know how badly we miss him when he's gone and when he's not there in the squad. Well, this YouTube family has gone on and carried on throughout the weeks, but it's been missing a massive, massive player, a massive, massive player. And thankfully, through him kicking the arse out of all these things he's had to deal with and the help he's had from the NHS, he's coming back. So there's a big time player coming back. And like I said, to echo it again, anyone who hasn't subscribed, please go and make one very good decision once this stream finishes. Hop over to Bob Spur TV. I think there is a space between Bob Spur and TV, and hit that subscribe button, because it's my mission to get him to the subscribers Tottenham on Tour have got, because that man deserves everything, and it's my mission to make sure he has it.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Everyone will echo that. Everyone will echo that. I think that's a good place to leave the show. Leave the stream.
I was going to say I wasn't going to come onto the stream. I was just going to talk to you behind the scenes.
Since
I'm here, I've got to say something. I've got to say something for you, Dermot, Ben, and King Arthur in particular. Well done tonight. Stream brilliant. I didn't want to come on very specifically because I didn't want to crowd the room out. The great Steve Perryman on. I wanted you to have your time with them. Dermot, you fully deserve to have these moments because you put in the work. You get the man on in the first place. You communicate with him. Ben's been your wingman all week. You two are holding the show together while the likes of Phil and I are off. And you could have no better guest than King Arthur for a Steve Perryman show. So good job, the three of you, and I'm glad it went well.
Thank you very much. And I couldn't do the show without you, Coover, because you help in the background as well. You're there for advice. So thank you, Coover, and Phil as well, the Perrier. And Arthur, it's been an honour, sir. And, anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
Many, many thanks, Dermot.
Because
you, Coover.
Not forgetting Benji.
Oh, no, Benji. I mean, I've already said hello. That's Uncle Brian.
Yeah, I tell you one thing. 2 years ago, I didn't know any of you. 2 years later, I've made the best friends ever in this community, and I can't thank you all enough. Look, as the great man says, I'm actually going to bring him up. I'm going to bring this picture up to end the stream. So sorry if Ben, you're going to be cut out, and sorry Brian as well.
That's right, mate.
Yeah, I can see Brian just poking his head.
Listen, if I can be cut out by anyone, let it be this man. I'll even wait a minute. There you go. I'll go into complete hiding.
I just want to say before we play out the thing, there's a song. One of my favourite songs was called "My Way," and Bill Nick did it his way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good night. God bless. Come on, you Spurs.
See you, Dermot.
Come on, you Spurs.
Cheers, guys. Big up.